I'm Jack Levinson.
I'm Ellie Weissman, and we're here today to discuss what?
The purpose of this podcast, besides for making ourselves feel good about ourselves and to do self-promotion, but the purpose of the podcast is to discuss marketing and persuasion. Or since we discussed this idea like branding. So that's what we're here to do.
Right. And a bit more importantly, I think it's to provide value to whoever's watching, just to have some insight, right? If two people are in an industry and they talk about something, chances are whoever's watching is either a creative individual or running a business, running a brand, has questions, maybe runs into obstacles, and chances are if they listen to the conversation, there might be something they can take away and say, oh, I can apply that to my business moving forward, or I can apply that to my creative routine when I build my own brand or when I do something else differently. So, and if there's no information there, then I just hope you enjoy the conversation. But if there isn't, I really hope that you take something from this. There's going to be a couple questions, couple answers. Obviously, feel free to drop a comment below if you have anything specific that you want to hear us talk about. If you have something challenging as far as your businesses, as far as what else? Anything else? That's pretty much it. Anything at all. Anything at all. If there's a question you have, we'd love to.
You can give relationship advice too.
I don't think so. Any question you have, feel free to drop it below. I take no responsibility for my answers. It's just my answers. I am biased towards my opinion. Take that as you wish. But without further ado, I think we should jump into the first topic.
All right.
The first topic is how do we, with today's AI, today in the morning, wake up in the morning, first thing, obviously not the good thing, you open up X, Twitter. You see RIP graphic designers. AI just dropped this. RIP copywriters. AI just did this. Is that a real threat to the creative industry? What are some stuff that you feel like maybe we should consider as creatives or as business owners? How do we utilize all this? How do we make sense of all this?
Your thoughts.
My thoughts are as follows. My thoughts are that it's here to stay, right? Things are going in a certain direction, and that's just what it is. So as a creative, the most important thing for me would be to really understand what it is that I'm offering. Because if all I'm offering is pushing some buttons on the computer, then yeah, AI will be doing that. Not a question. It's just a matter of time until that job gets obsolete and it's on there. It's them. But if my job is really human-to-human interaction, it's trying to solve a problem that maybe they can't even articulate. So maybe they can't. I look at it like, the way we prompt things on AI. I mess around with AI all day. I'm sure you do as well. There's a certain skill to really figuring out the correct prompts to get the response from AI. AI is a dumb computer. There's no actual intelligence there other than if you put something in the right way, it can give you back what you're looking for. And I think that part of my job as a creative in this industry is to figure out the right prompts with the client. Now, once we do that, then yeah, let's utilize the AI to get the response. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think AI is strong enough, not yet, to sit down with the customer and really understand what's challenging them and coming up with a solution for that challenge. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think there's also short-term and long-term, right? So, you give a scenario where AI can't sit down with the customer, right? But what happens in a world where AI is the customer?
What does that mean?
Meaning, instead of people running businesses, is the AI running a business, right? If an AI can create a brand and an AI can create, a business strategy, and an AI can do customer service, and theoretically, the company can exist as just solely AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how fast that's going to happen, or if that's going to happen. But what I'm trying to illustrate is that the way technology always progresses is something new comes into the world, and we first try stepping it into the way our world currently is. I don't know, let's say when the internet first came around, right? So you make a website about the store, but there's no yet way to buy online, right? And then you would make And then as it progressed, the people got more and more online. Then you make a website that sells, right? And the store sells and the website sells. And then now you have companies that are selling solely online and have no physical footprint whatsoever, right? And so that's essentially like the full progression of let's say online selling. So I think that like the first step is like, oh, AI is a tool. So like how do I see AI in my life? So okay, so right now instead of a client coming to me, they'll try to use an AI, but that's like that first step, right? Of like instead of looking at a phone book, they can go on the website and see the hours. But then like what happens next? That's where like I think the interesting things start happening.
But you think AI at some point becomes the customer?
So I think that, okay, the most important thing, I want to answer the question short rather than long. Short term, I think that to date, there's yet to be a technology that's been obsolete. The military still uses smoke signals. People still send telegrams. Not a lot, but they still do. And I think that the best of any tech will always be fine. There'll always be some sort of need for that, no matter what changes. And the second thing is, I also think that AI is not moving anywhere near as fast as we think it is. People like to talk about it, like to make it sound hot, and everyone's talking about it, but like there's still very few practical applications to using AI consistently right now in a way that's actually truly bringing value. But what I'm curious to think about with AI is a good example. You have a customer selling on Amazon, right? So like Amazon's existing technology, it's a website. So I go to Amazon, I look around, I find the type of one I want, I see pictures, I read descriptions, I decide to buy it, and you're a customer on the flip side. They know I'm going to Amazon, so they portray their product on Amazon in a way that speaks to me, right? What happens when I get to the point where I have my own personal AI assistant? I just tell my AI assistant, I need soap, get me soap. Or it even tells me, hey Jack, you need soap, let me get you soap, right? So then I'm no longer looking at Amazon. It's an AI that's looking at Amazon. So when your client realizes that, your client says, hey, why am I designing a site for humans? I should be designing a site for AI, right? So then eventually it gets to the point where someone wants to sell soap, so they just tell their AI, go sell soap, here's your budget. And then other people tell their AI, go buy soap, here's your budget. And then they just sell and buy soap. And then in such a scenario, there's no design whatsoever because it's computers and computers talking to each other, right? That's an example of like how I see AI technology truly.
Yeah, but that's a sad world, though, if you think about it. There's no human interaction.
I think it's a fantastic world, and I'll tell you why. Because there's no human interaction in buying soap. But that gives us time to do human interaction and everything else.
So, for example, what?
Do you want to spend
time
conversations?
Together.
Yeah, spend more time together.
Do more podcasts.
Yeah, do more things that you enjoy. Like, to me, that's the AI utopia. The AI utopia is when anything you don't want to do is being handled by AI. And the cost of living is much less because AI can do so many things cheaper, so therefore things could be cheaper, so therefore we have to make less money, so therefore we don't have to work so hard. And
right.
Just chill more.
I hear.
That's the best case scenario.
And what's the worst case scenario?
And it's all fucked. You know? Probably end up being somewhere in between, you know?
Yeah, you familiar with Procreate, right? This is the app. They just put out a thing a couple days ago saying they plan on never ever utilizing AI in any of there's nothing. Right. They say Procreate was developed for humans, for creative individuals. They don't want AI to come over and take over our jobs, whatever they said. I don't know if I agree with that statement, but I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Like, do you think that's a strategic
Probably
move?
the same reason why you don't agree, because our job is not to push buttons. Our job is to create brands.
Right.
Whatever 40 years ago they did it with pen and paper.
When cameras came out, I'm sure the artists that were used to draw people by hand, portraits by hand, we got all upset. Hey, you take, Yeah. But we all know, obviously, cameras is a beautiful, object, and you can take, do creative art with that.
And the
it's
people
just a matter
that
of
do photography still have business.
Right.
Right. Just because everyone can snap pictures on their phone.
Right. And photography is a lot easier to get into than learning how to draw.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess that's the same aspect applies here.
Yeah. Meaning, it can like photography is a great example you brought up, because like it can get to the same point where, let's say, everyone is able to design whatever they want on their phone, but like there's still going to be a space for professionals, you know?
There's always going to be, regardless of how sophisticated these things get, there are always companies that they just focus on running their company and they want an outside service to do other stuff. Right?
Right.
I don't think there's ever going to come a time where everyone has everything they need. There's always going to be a company that has a challenge.
Well, that's why I like the thought exercise of an AI company that's selling, of a company that's using AI to sell to AI. Because in that case, like,
how does one AI outsmart the other AI? Because at that point, it's just AI talking to AI, and then let them just do their thing. But then at some point, we have to come back to a human level and say, hey,
the whole world changes.
you want to buy some soap?
Right,
Right.
like
That's how it's
a lot
going to
of-
come down to.
To a certain extent, like talking about branding and AI, like I think that's like, I think a lot of like commodity items, like branding just not going to exist anymore. Because your AI is just going to, in like 5 seconds, it's going to read every review, comb all the information, and just make the best decision you barely on data. That's not how it does how it looks. Like things you don't care how it looks. Like you don't care how your egg carton looks, or how your sock packaging looks. So like right now you do, because right now it's a person that's scrolling through Amazon. So the pictures and the models and the packaging makes a difference. But honestly, there's like, these are the best socks done in 2 seconds.
I'm not convinced that it's ever going to get to that place.
Again, not for everything.
No,
For
even
commodities.
for commodity items. I think that there are people, I would consider myself one of them, that buy emotionally and appreciate that idea.
When you buy
Yeah.
emotionally. But when your AI is buying, you got emotions on it. It's not that you buy it to be emotional.
I don't want my AI to
When you buy
surprise me
emotional.
with something. I want to be able to choose.
You want to choose your socks?
And of course, I don't want to just have stocks show
You want
up.
to choose your toilet paper?
Why not?
Well, yeah. It's still
Because
waste
I
of brain
like
cells.
different companies, and this is one's softer, one's not so soft.
Okay, so
one's
your
this.
AI,
I can test this. I don't like this
it can
guy.
still get you. It can still get you the softness or the
Right, but
quality
then
that you like.
but means I had to make a decision. Say, hey, AI, from now on, only get me Kleenex, right? So I made that decision for the AI. Now, what made me decide that? That's branding.
When you say Kleenex, you can tell your AI, I like super soft tissue, and then it can do whatever it wants with that.
But if it can
Doesn't
go,
have to buy
if it can
Kleenex.
go out and find me a super soft tissue, then that whoever is
what I'm
softer than
saying, it's gonna read
Kleenex,
all the
they
reviews.
position themselves as a softer brand. That's still positioning and
But
branding.
they don't even have to position themselves. It can literally just pick up pull data from reviews. The company can say whatever they want. Like, a company can position themselves as the softest tissue ever, but if your AI is reading 1,000 reviews in 2 seconds and it sees that, oh, this one's actually softer, even though they position themselves as cheaper.
Okay, so that goes into, Marty Neumeyer, I believe his quote is, someone asked him what branding is. He said, branding is not what you think it is or what you say it is, it's what your customers think or say about your company, right?
Bezos said something, I think, tighter.
But-
It's what people say when you're not in the room.
Okay, so it's the same idea. So what you're saying is AI goes to a company that maybe sells softer tissues at Amazon than Kleenex. Maybe that company doesn't even say it, that they sell soft. But the reviews is what other people say about this brand. So essentially, branding still exists in that world.
But
It's
not
it's
branding
a different
as
way
an
of
act.
communicating it.
Brand exists in that world, but not branding as an act. Right? Brand is, everyone has a brand. Everything is a brand. Because that brand will say about you when you're not in the room, right? Branding is when you're trying to manipulate that by how you say things and how you portray yourself. That's usually brand and branding, right?
Okay, but just clarify, manipulating is not in a negative sense.
Right. Meaning, yeah, in a positive way. Meaning,
It's just making a stronger argument.
choosing which things to focus on.
Right.
Yeah. You can have 5 companies that literally have the exact same product, but they all focus on 5 different things. And now they'll create 5 different brands.
Right. Anything else we should cover on AI? Any other thoughts you had?
Yeah, I think you just scratch the surface.
Yeah, obviously, we can talk about it for hours, but on the basic
No,
level,
so I think like that pro guy, I think it's a little silly. I think it's almost like in your taxi commission saying like we're never going to bring apps into this. It's a personal business, and our drivers have a connection with their passengers, and we're never going to launch an app. Like, I mean, morals don't make money, essentially. Whatever it is, and morals. I just think it's misconstrued. I know, like I said, it's not about how you do it. It's about what you're doing.
could it be that they can see themselves succeeding in an AI world and they look at it as a threat rather than invite it and figure out how to deal with it? So they just want to cancel it out. And worst case scenario, we go down with the ship. But then at least Procreate stays Procreate for what it is until the day is over. Versus having to admit that, hey, there's a new thingy out there. All our competition is utilizing it. We don't know how to integrate it just yet. We're not familiar with that. That's like the codec thing, right?
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. With the digital.
They insisted on, hey, it's not going to be anything ever. So they came out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I could see it go a lot of different ways. I mean, you can make an argument that it's a mistake, and they're literally being Kodak again, and all the competitors are going to have AI, and no one's going to use them anymore. If I had to argue for them on the other side, I would say that, everyone's rushing into AI right now and making themselves look stupid. Like the WhatsApp AI and the LinkedIn
It's ridiculous.
AI, it's just annoying. It's annoying. So like to a certain extent, them waiting until like it's all been figured out makes sense. It's also a risk because at that point it may be too late to implement.
Right.
On the flip side, they could also become like like vinyl is having a tremendous resurgence these days, right? Everyone wants to
Hard
buy
copy
vinyl records. So like
Yeah.
maybe they decide we'll stake ourselves out, like we'll be the vinyl of design software.
Like the old
Yeah.
school. Yeah, but they turn into like Corel Draw or nobody wants to use you because
Corel comes out with AI. That would be funny.
pretty crazy. I don't even know if they're still around. Are they? Oh, well, probably.
Everyone's still around.
Someone still has a program like that. So that's pretty much. I think that wraps up the AI conversation. We're sure gonna come back to it.
Yeah, I don't know if we have to officially announce wrapping things
No,
up.
I'm gonna cut around this shit like crazy. No,
I like when we
like raw.
I like breaking when you admit that you're breaking the fourth wall on camera. Does that mean is there like a fifth wall that you've not built in? The fourth breaking the fourth wall?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
I wonder.
Yeah.
So we touched on something I did want to maybe ask you about. You said something before. What was the conversation about? About branding. So the brands, it was my answer. Sorry, my answer was you asked me originally what my thoughts are about the AI, and my answer was that we're trying to solve problems for individuals, and AI not necessarily doing that. Meaning, the problem we're solving is trying to help the client figure out what problem he has to begin with. Right. So that's, I think, a human-to-human step. We can only understand based on circumstances, based on certain things that, that's what you're feeling, that's what you're going through, therefore I can help you with this. So to that, is it important for a brand to be solving problem? I guess that's the question.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So how else would it play out?
I mean, I feel like that's like it's a good question because that's like the cliche thing that everyone says.
Right.
Like, we're here to solve problems. I'm saying, I think we joke about that on our website. We say like, we help the problem of getting people to buy your brand of peanut butter. Like, a lot of, I think people focus on problems because they're typically looking for some sort of distinction, right? Some sort of USP. So if I have a problem, then I can provide a unique way that we're solving it. And that's our way of differentiating ourselves. But it's not necessary though, because I think a big part of branding, right, is using it as a way to either express who you are. Right, so when you're buying a luxury, there's no problem being solved. You're just using it as a tool to show people this is who you are. Or a brand can simply just serve as like a symbol of quality, right? So like, again, there's not be a problem. Like, I have no problem with my French fries needing to be dipped into something. It's not a problem, right? But the brand helps me know that when I want to buy ketchup, so that's good. I think the problem just dramatizes it a lot. I think if anything, maybe where it came from was in advertising. I think advertising may be a little bit different. Advertising is a concept like, like touch a pain point, right? So like if you say like, don't you hate when you get stuck in traffic? The person's like, yeah, I hate when you get stuck in traffic. Well, then you got them hooked and you're like, oh, well, check out our helicopters, no more traffic, But like, so it's like an easy way to get someone's attention in advertising. But like the brand itself doesn't have to exist to solve the problem. Like there are plenty of people like riding helicopters, and you just have to position yourself.
Right, and I agree with that. I think maybe the better word here is instead of focusing on solving a problem, you should focus on providing value. Now, if that value is solving someone's problem, go ahead and do that. But sometimes the value is they just want to feel a part of a community that has cool belts.
Right.
In that case, so it's not really a problem you're solving, but you are giving them what they consider value, and they'll gladly give you your money for that.
Right.
Right?
I think there's a lot of things in our industry that were more like strategies of how to be successful, and they became, those strategies became like the way. Like, for example, so to me, like, a strategy of how to position yourself is to say, oh, here's a problem that we're solving. So whoever rallies around that problem now sees himself the way, as part of who we are. As similar like storytelling, where like storytelling is a way of connecting with somebody. It's not, but now everyone's like, oh, a brand is telling us. Like, no, it's just one of the methods of
it's a famous
doing that, right?
Sagmeister video of him complaining about storytelling.
Yeah. He has a good quote there. He says that, the only people who call themselves storytellers are the people that aren't storytellers. Like, storytellers don't call themselves storytellers, right? I think that like storytelling and problem solving are both two different strategies within the branding. So you can have a brand that does one of those, does both, does none, does something else, I think it's, yeah.
So as a business owner, as someone who's starting a brand, who has a brand, what can we tell them to focus on? Right? I guess this is another question in and of itself, but this is like really hypothetical, and I don't know how we can finagle ourselves out of this, but let's say someone says, hey, I have an idea and I have 20K. What's my first focus? What's my second focus? How do I structure this? Obviously, maybe it's not enough, or maybe it is enough, but what would be the first and foremost important thing to do? Is it the strategy part? Is it just proof of concept? Is it getting the ball rolling?
I think the money turns into a very specific question.
What do you mean?
Not because now it's like, what's the best way to get value specifically off such a small budget?
Yeah, well, that's a question that I believe many have. I'm sure you've gotten that question as well. So you have a conversation with a client or a potential client, and they say, oh, well, my budget is this.
Right.
Now, it may not be a good fit for your agency, but deep down, there might be a solution for it. It may not just be you. What is the solution?
I've advised people came to me with a more limited budget. I advise them to, instead of spending more money in branding and having less money for advertising, to spend less money in brand and more in advertising. Because if you have a brand that's a 10 out of 10, but then you have no budget to advertise, then no one's seeing the brand. So it's just a waste of brand.
Right.
If you have a brand that's a 5 or a 6, but you're able to get it consistently in front of people, then that's way more powerful. The most important thing is consistency. Most important thing branding is consistency. Marketing is like, if people consistently see you and you're consistently saying the same message, then whenever they need whatever you're doing, you're going to be one of the top because you're being consistent. So even if your message is like, if you just say like, we fix cars fast, like that, I think you can be clever. But it's just everywhere, and you see it every day or every week. Then when your car breaks, I'm going to think of we fix cars fast.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. As much as I'd like to think that branding plays a tremendous role, which it does, there's a lot more to it than just someone having a nice logo, a nice brand, and then just move on. There's a product aspect, there's a service aspect, there's your communication aspect, there's their experience of it. So, and I think you told me this a while ago, this idea of, you see, go down the billboards, drive down the highway, you see these huge billboards for McDonald's, for Dunkin' Donuts, these crazy delicious sandwiches, 6 inches tall and whatnot. But then you go into the store, it doesn't look half as good. And then how do they keep getting away? Did you tell me you speak about?
I don't think there's something. No.
How do you get away with this? So I guess the answer was that there's this concept of when we experience something, we experience it with many senses. We feel it, we smell it, we taste it, right? All that kind of stuff. So it all comes into play. When you're driving down the highway, it's just one sense. It's just the visual. So they have the leeway to sorry about that. They have the space to manipulate the other 6 senses by over-exaggerating that one sense. But by the time you get to the store and you bite into it, Yeah, it doesn't
equalizes.
look maybe as good, but you got the taste, you got the
It
smell.
tastes the way it looks.
So that just proves that it's not just about the advertising, about the branding. There's other aspects to it as well.
Of course, there's a lot of aspects, and the easiest way to notice that is when it's an equalizer. Like I just gave, like you just gave, right in this example that we discussed. I said that like my advice would be to pick one message to speak consistent as possible. But then, like, what happens if you have a competitor who's also doing the same thing, right? They're also running the same, an ad in their case, and you have to start finding yourself more of a position and distinguishing yourself. But I do think the consistency is the most important, and that's one of the important things of a good brand. Is because if you're going to be consistent, and that means that you're committing to saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. So you need that thing to be as good as possible. Because first of all, if you change it every year, then it's no longer consistent, right? So it needs to be good enough that.
Yeah, but you mentioning Verizon, there's something else to that as well. Larger companies tend to rebrand way more frequently. I don't know. I mean, I have a theory about why that is, and I have some insights into larger companies.
I can name plenty of companies that haven't. Coke hasn't.
Right.
Apple hasn't. Nike hasn't.
So to me, the way I understand it is, and this is just insights based on some companies that I've been helped out with or have some back-end information, but it doesn't obviously apply to all of them. There are companies out there that are just, it's been working for them forever. Nothing changes behind the scenes as far as the branch, the company, the business structure. It stays, it's the same company, it's the same CEO, the same everything. Things work out. Conglomerate company, it's huge, and things just go smoothly. So there is no reason to, their goal is at this point of the company that it's so big that they're not trying to flip it, sell it, keep being innovative. Their goal is to be consistent, sustainable. Now, when that's your goal, then you're not changing anything. You're trying to stay as relevant as possible and try to stay, whatever you knew me from 20 years ago, still the same guy, nothing changed, right? Because that's, you build trust that way. But if you're a company, maybe in the tech industry, if you're a company in an industry that is a little harder for your customers to actually understand what it is that you're providing for them, they're not using you because they chose to use you. They use you because you're just a select few between a couple others, and you're competing for their space in their pocket, and your company is essentially trying to. What am I trying to say? You're just trying to disrupt other markets, and to do that, now sometimes it can fail dramatically. But the idea is, hey, we want to reposition ourselves to get these customers, to get this, to get that, and that's how you end up with a company that rebrands.
But to me, that means that the brand
often.
was never good in the first place. If it was a good enough brand, it would have covered that.
Right, but if the industry changes, if their product
still should have covered that.
Coke, for example, is never changing. There's no need. It's a drink.
Yeah, but then
there's no innovation.
Pepsi literally changes every 5 years.
Okay, what's that? Because they're trying to compete with Coke.
No, because Pepsi is a terrible brand.
Visually, you mean?
No, there's no brand there. There's no nothing. Coke is the original, right? That's their brand positioning. Is their original. They have a clear positioning. They have a clear, and that positioning provides clarity in everything, right? Pepsi's always trying to be new and young, so like it's just an endless.
So they're clearly doing a bad job at it.
I'm saying they're not doing a bad job because they're a billion-dollar company, but they're doing a worse job than Coke. In fact, I think I read recently that Pepsi's now they're no longer number 2, they're now number 3.
Red Bull's number 2.
Dr. Pepper took over.
And Dr. Pepper's owned by.
It's a company. No, the company is called Dr. Pepper.
It's the overall brand.
Dr. Pepper owns Keurig,
right.
A bunch of companies.
That's the parent company.
But like the parent company goes parent company, Coke parent company, the Pepper parent company, Pepsi.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the who were the top 2 rental cars?
Avis, Enterprise.
Right. So in Avis said we're number 2. Right. So that, I guess that would be a smart way to position yourself.
I think there's no. I think the smartest thing about positioning is that you have a position.
A position.
Yeah, meaning it's more important to have a position than what position is. Because there's enough people in the world that someone won't have the same position as you, and someone will like it, admire it, and want to be a part of it. But when you don't have a position, then there's nothing people to connect to with.
Right. Yeah. Just gonna skip to the next question, right? I should have like a screen or a board with all this shit laid out.
I don't know if I'm such a fan of it. I feel like it's a little questiony.
What do you? I mean, what? So explain it to me. What's wrong with the question?
No, the questions are good, but I feel like we're moving too fast.
I don't have anything else to share on the topic. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, let's just move on. Sitting and harping on a product, on a topic, no one wants to hear my little unthought of opinions. I want to just be kick-ass.
Wow, of course people want to hear your opinions. They won't be watching your podcast if they want to hear your opinions.
Well, that's why no one's going to watch it.
So what's the point?
Hopefully, consistency over 30 years of doing it.
So people
maybe
people will want to hear your thoughts. If
maybe I get Joe Rogan.
If even 2 people are watching it, that means those 2 people want to hear your thoughts.
Right. So should we stay on this?
Yeah.
So keep going. Let's snap back out. I can edit all around this.
Or you can keep it.
Or we can keep it. No, I don't want to keep it. Probably not going to keep it.
It's positioning.
We position ourselves as raw.
Yeah.
Raw and unedited. Guys, give us some slack. We're trying to figure this out. We're open to ideas. Anybody has a different approach here, feel free to chime in. So let's go back to positioning for a second. Positioning. What is positioning? Let me see if I can even articulate that concept. Positioning is, so there's this concept. Okay, we're gonna go into the details of marketing here, but this, for many years, I would say up until 50 something years ago, marketing was looked at as there's this concept. There's 4 A's of marketing, right? 4 P's of marketing. It's product, price. Oh, I'm gonna screw it up. You remember it?
It's product, price, promotion, and placement.
Placement. No.
You think so? Google it.
Product, price, promotion, and place. Oh, you are right.
Nice.
Yeah. Right. So here it says, you have a product. I'm going off the book of, you have the book Positioning, right? There's a famous book called Positioning, and the way he breaks it down at the beginning, he gives an example. I'm going to screw it up.
I think there's a lot of different elements to it, similar to brand. Like you have a brand and then there's branding, right? So like position is like the idea of one of the ideas of positioning is that essentially everyone literally positions things in their head. So if I said list the top 3 car companies, you're going to be listing number 1 is X, number 2 is Y, and number 3 is Z.
Right.
And you've positioned them in your head. Whereas positioning is when, again, similar to branding, the company's trying to manipulate
They're doing
that
it.
structure there. So
Right.
I think the idea of the 4 P's is that that's how you position things in your head. So based off of price, based off the product, based off of placement.
Right. So that's what the book is saying.
Yeah.
Essentially, all these 4 things, all the four P's, what they have in common is that they all need to, the string that strings them together is the positioning aspect of it. If someone has marketing, they could have a great product, they could have a great placement, they could have a great position, they could have a great, for example, the placement, he says, there's a company called, it's called Legs, a company that was giving leggings for women, but they called it Legs, Leggs, and they put it in egg cartons. You familiar with that?
No.
And they sold it in supermarkets.
No.
And was
Right,
it went like
position yourself as
hotcake.
different, right?
So that's the concept. That's how you use positioning within placement.
Right.
And then positioning within product is, I think the example he gave is Volvo. They're known as the safety car.
Right.
That's very strong positioning. Let's go to the other 2.
Yeah, pricing is just if you're expensive or cheap.
Pricing. Oh, so he came up with, I think it was Haagen-Dazs or maybe it's Haagen-Dazs ice cream. They came up with the premium ice cream. Was unheard of before. I'd be like, were you crazy?
Right.
But clearly, if you take something, this is another conversation we could have also about this idea of sometimes people think that, oh, if my product is not selling, I got to lower the price. Sometimes it's just the opposite. You got to up the price because people feel like that product should be costing so much more. So the fact that it's so cheap it can't be that good.
Right.
So that's the same thing with ice cream. If you give that good quality, sometimes a little $2 more makes you feel like, I'm getting something nice for it. And what's the 4th one? I want to see if I can remember before. Product, price, place, and promotion.
That's the advertising, meaning how you talk about it, how you promote it.
Trying to think if I remember his example he gave. I don't remember. So let's talk about that. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I believe that promotion is building inside the advertising, like how you're talking about it, right? So if you say we're for athletes or we're for moms, that's two different types of that's positioning via the way you're promoting it.
Oh, that's like that Nike, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I think the most important thing, like these are all different strategies to like that's only strategies, but these are like the mechanics to the different ways you have available to position yourself. So you can have two companies that are both saying, oh, just do it, right? Or something along those lines of, if you have a body, you're an athlete, yada, yada. But one could be cheap, one could be expensive. Or one could be selling here, one could be selling there. And they're still positioning themselves differently via those more technical elements.
So you're saying even their message is the same?
Yeah, they could be going have the same, yeah, they can have similar messages.
Well, it's going to be somewhat similar because it's in the same, they're running after the same market, same people.
No, but again, the pricing will makes it completely different.
Give me an example.
I don't know, you can have two companies that both say, we're here to help men look their best. And they're selling suits, but if one suit's selling for $200, one suit's selling for $3,000, they're different companies. They can be positioned completely differently. In your brain, you're going to put them on different shelves, right? You're going to look at them.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
But I think that's the... But here's the thing, right? You can make $1 billion selling a $200 suit. You can make $1 billion selling $2,000 suits. Doesn't necessarily make... Selling something for more expensive doesn't necessarily make you more money, right? Because that means you just have to offer a different level of service, different level of product. There's less people that can spend that much money, right? But you can still make the same amount of money.
That's the Amazon versus any other company type of...
Right. So that's why I was saying that it's not so important what your strategy is. There's no right way to do anything. There's enough people who can sell anything to anyone. But you need to have a position just so that people can know when to buy it, whatever that position is. If you don't have a clear position, if you're not clearly an expensive suit or a cheap suit, then no one's ever going to buy them. Because if I need a cheap suit, I'm going to buy the company that sells cheap suits. And if I need an expensive suit, I'm going to buy from expensive suits. But what are you? You're nothing. You're neither. So when am I going to buy?
First and foremost, have a position.
Correct.
And if that position sucks, you could always reposition.
No, but as I'm saying, I don't think it would suck. I don't think it's possible to position to...
well, if no one gravitates towards it, then you can position yourself all you want, but no one aligns with that. No one sees what you're offering as valuable to them. Then
this goes back to about solving problems.
To the ground. I'm not saying it's solving a problem.
No, I think it comes down to how good of a job you do with that position. Once you have a position, then you have to market it. But like, there's history is full of things that people didn't want. Now they have, right? People thought iPhones were sticking when they came out. People thought Starbucks was crazy when they came out. That's also another thing about problems. Like, there's so many companies that launched products that weren't solving problems, quote unquote. They just created essentially new problems. I'm going to say about advertising, like, the best way is to sell something is to make a problem and then solve it.
Right. That's the Don Draper, like when he said, you watched
a couple episodes.
That's not the idea of just figuring out a problem that maybe doesn't even exist. I think wrong. Okay, that goes into ethical conversation, right? That's a whole different topic. Do you believe in that? Where do you stand on that? I have a hard time. If I can't find the real reason someone would enjoy something, and I have to force it, meaning as I'm writing the words, the copy, I can see someone falling for it and buying it, so maybe it's going to be effective in that sense. But deep down, I'm like, that's not really true. Like, I know the company or I know the product firsthand. It's not really going to get you that. I can't do it.
Well, are you talking about lying? Because
it's not, I guess, lying obviously you can't do. I got to tread carefully. Okay, so let's say I'm going to change names and companies and everything, but let's say it's a food product. Okay, and they're promising something, and that the whole business is built around that. But deep down, I know that it's not really a big focus. I could do a bit more general. Some people say, we have great customer service. This is a very simple thing, right? deep down, there's no way that's true. And you can find a clever way to say we have customer service, which obviously is not so blatant, it's not so direct. It can be more creatively written, but in essence, if your message is we have great customer service, and deep down this guy makes fun of all his customers behind the guy's back, he's not genuine about that. Then it's not true, right? I'm sure you've run into an issue like that. The more brands you build, the more they say you sit down with a customer, right? And they say, okay, my brand does this A, B, C, D, E, and you're deep down thinking, 1 second, there's no way that's not. I know you, like that's not true. We can keep talking about that, but are we going to address the elephant in the room, or are we just going to pretend it is, and then your own customers are going to help you find that out?
Right. I'm saying this is why we focus more on like almost like on the emotional benefit versus the physical benefit. Like we don't like I would talk less about like the technical things the company has and more like we both worked on 7 somewhere. We did 7 Stone's branding. You didn't talk about like technical stuff about like how fast they pick up their phones or close the deals, but just the idea of like they're a team that's designed together, that's built together to help you, build a larger real estate empire, right? And like that's the brand. Like that's some companies exist to do things fast, we exist to help you grow as big as you can. So well, when you talk about those, like even Nike, like Nike's not selling their shoes on the quality of their shoes; they're selling their shoes on their vision of like get off your butt and
for everybody,
start running, right? You can be an athlete, And I think the brands that have strong brands built around those kind of things don't have those issues, because those things just like they become like no one's not buying like. Nike's customer service is not going to affect their brand in any shape or form. I mean, obviously, it will, but minutely. Because I'm not buying Nike because they're telling me that it's a problem. They're sure they're going to pick up the phone right away, right?
It may not.
Obviously, if you have a bad experience, you can talk about it online. If everyone talks about it online, then yeah. I'm saying that's not why you're buying the product.
Right.
Right?
No, agreed. Right. You're not buying it because they have great customer service.
So that's why I never liked selling on specific USPs. And one of the things that I learned and like to me was amazing is that like the creative is the USP. Meaning it's not as branders, positioners, whatever you want to call ourselves. Like when you figure out what the person truly wants, what they truly need, and then you're able to create a brand around that, like feeling like you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish, or in the case of Nike, or feeling like you're a better person, or feeling more connected, or whatever it is that the brand's promising. But when you can create a message, a brand around that, then it also helps you like manipulate everything to do that message. Like for example, let's say there's a company that notoriously bad service. I would spin it. Like depending on the brand, I could be like, we treat you like family so much that we talk about you like crap, because you're family to us.
Right.
But we love you deep down inside. And then like we can have terrible customer service and just it's like they say, like New York pizza, like the worse the price, the worse the service, the better the taste, right? So it's like everything can get spun in a positive way,
right?
But only when you have that positioning that dictates that.
So I have an example like that, and I showed it to you off camera, but I'm working on a product, not to say which one it is, but we ran into some issues with the cover of it. It was hard to take off. There's a certain button you press and you have to push it up. And there's no way around it as far as the manufacturer is concerned. But what we ended up doing is, because it's a little iffy when you try to open it, we put a seal around it saying child safety lock.
Right. So
now when the person has that half a second of opening it and struggling, they're like, oh, it should be this difficult to open, so my kid can't get to it.
Right.
So I guess that's right.
Made it positive.
So that's instead of saying this is the best product, it opens easily when it doesn't.
But I feel like, let's say the brand's positioning was screw kids. We don't care about kids. Kids are annoying. Then like it wouldn't make sense to have that.
Right.
But if your brand's all about like, we care about all the little things, then like you just spun something that would typically mean you don't care about the little things because it's annoying.
Right.
And you made it into something that we do care about the little things.
And you're authentic. I think, right? The cliche word. That's why everyone uses that. But that's the reality of it. You're addressing what would have been an issue. It's like taking in the SWOT analysis, you're taking your weakness and turning it into a strength.
Correct.
I guess that's the best way to put it. You're talking about it head on. Hey guys, this is something this is how it is, but here's the reason why it's because of that. And I hope you still love us, that kind of thing. Yeah, I guess that's the way to do it.
I'm saying because everything is a positioning, right? Like things being expensive can be a positive if that's how you position yourself as, right? But if you're like not, that's why you need that strategy. If you're not positioned as a premium product, but your pricing is a premium pricing, then you're gonna fail. Right? You fail whenever there's a mismatch, right? You have a top quality product at a too low of a price, then you're not making good enough margins, or people aren't taking it seriously. You have too crappy of a product at a premium price. You have great product, great price, but it's literally being sold the same way everyone else is being sold. Like all those things, like that's when and positioning essentially tells you it's literally it's a GPS. It's like here's your location, here's where you're going, so you know every step of the way. If this is where I'm positioning, then this is where I need to sell myself. This is how I need to talk about myself. This is what I need to price myself. Now this is what kind of quality my product is.
Right. So that's perfect. That's
it gives you tremendous clarity, right?
That the positioning aspect is what strings it all together. It gives you a cohesive
100%.
view on it.
100%. And the thing is that the clarity, that's what I'm saying, the clarity, it's that position comes first, and then you execute it through your price, your product, your promotion, your placement.
Yeah.
And so that thing that comes first, that's what never changes. Like if we exist to help you build a real estate empire, then no matter how the industry changes, how technology changes, how robots can exist, that doesn't make a difference. As long as people are still trying to make money in real estate, that brand works. And you can change your price, you can change your product and your placement.
But the
with
core
the world,
message of the right, that's still there.
That changes, right? So if it comes to a point where people are like no longer, drinking soda and they're using IV soda or whatever it is, like the original brand still works, right? But like, whatever it is, So
as long as liquid is consumed, Coke should be able to exist. Yeah, I noticed I had a good story. I know where I read it, but it's about positioning. The company, I think it's Rolls-Royce. Most companies, when they come out with new cars or they want to present their cars, they go to the car shows. You have whatever, Porsche, you have all these big companies, and they put out their cars, and people come and see, they check out the price, check out how cool features are. But I think it's Rolls-Royce. What they do is they put their cars at private jet shows. You heard this before?
Yeah, boat shows, jet
shows.
Boat,
right. So when you're looking at
that's placement. Yeah.
$2 million yacht,
$20 million,
a $500,000 car ain't that bad of a purchase.
Yeah, no, that's placement.
When I read,
but you need that positioning first. That we're going to be that luxury thing that gets associated with, that kind of.
Like
travel.
If you're a guy that has a couple boats, couple planes,
like if Toyota parked their cars outside, they're not selling them.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So.